Hello and welcome to Studio 21. I'm your host, Daniella. John, how are y'all? I keep getting Snapchat memories from a year ago, and apparently a year ago all I was doing was swimming, which is strange because it's April and currently the weather is not permitting me to enter any body of water. However, I am ready for the summer vibes. I'm just ready to relax in the sun, and also there is no comfort like taking a Zoom class on a pool floaty. It's the best. It's honestly amazing. But I digress. I know what you all are here for. So let's get into what's happening this week in San Antonio. So this first event is a little funky, but on Wednesday, April 28th, the Beach Boys are performing at the Tobin Theater. Isn't it wild that the Beach Boys, a group that started in the 60s, is here 6 decades later? Like, what? That's 3 times the decades I have been alive. That is like literally insane. I support them touring. I think that's very exciting. I think it's very cool. Frankly in shock and awe, but I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great way for people who grew up with them and people who still support them years later to go see it. It's great. If you would like more information, check out the Tobin Theater's website. This next event is way closer to home. The Trinity Diversity Connection is hosting a virtual talent show at 6 p.m. Thursday, April 29th via Zoom. This event will highlight student talent, and their performances will pay tribute to people of color, artists, and a diverse range of cultures. Featured performers include, bear with me, it's a long list, Looney Crew, Prowlers, Swing Bums, Mu Phi Epsilon, the Acapellas, TAC, Stand Band, Chinese Language and Culture Association, Filipino Student Association, and the Japanese Culture Club. Support your Trinity community, see your friends, see your friends' friends. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. You can find the Zoom information in the Leroy and also on TDC's social media. My final event is a bit funky, but bear with me. The AARP is hosting an online event about composting. If you don't know what composting is, let me break it down. It's when you take your food scraps and your garden scraps and you either put them in a bin or a pile and you let them rot. You take that rotting material and put it back into your garden, and it has many benefits because all of those scraps aren't going into your trash and going into the landfill, so you're reusing and recycling, and you put it back into your garden, which is like returning some nutrients, which is super exciting. This event will walk you through how to start composting and its many benefits. Check out their event on Facebook for more information. That's all I have for you this week. Stay tuned for release date, Gossip Guru, and a special music video from Twin Tribes.
Hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn Brooks, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite people in the world, Miss Taylor Allison Swift, who released some new old music on Friday, April 9th. Now, some of you may be wondering why she re-released an album made 13 years ago, so let's talk about the events that led up to this album. In 2008, Taylor Swift released Fearless under the Big Machine label group, along with her other first 5 albums. Then, in 2018, Taylor decided to sign a deal with Universal Music Group that would allow her to own all master recordings of her music moving forward. This allows the owner to control how the music is used, including Taylor's own performances of her songs. However, in 2019, Big Machine was sold to Ithaca Holdings, led by music producer Scooter Braun, for over $300 million, giving him the rights to all her original master recordings for the first 6 albums and their copyrights. Taylor had significant objections to the deal, not only because it involved the loss of her rights and licensing of the music, but also because Scooter Braun had managed Kanye West, a longtime rival of Taylor's, and even facilitated public backlash and bullying against her through him. Additionally, Taylor was not given a proper opportunity to buy back her masters, and throughout the feud, Scooter Braun and Big Machine founder Scott Borchetta refused to allow her to use her catalog in her American Music Awards performance, Netflix documentary, and other recorded events. In response, Taylor decided to re-record her old albums in an effort to devalue those owned by Ithaca Holdings, while also regaining full artistic ownership and freedom over the new versions, which is possible since she is credited as the lead songwriter on all of her work. Because Fearless is Taylor's top-selling album, it's no surprise that's where the artist is starting. Now, let's jump to the present and talk about Fearless, Taylor's version. I've been listening to this album non-stop. And by non-stop, I mean I should probably issue a formal apology to my wallmate and suitemate because I literally have not been listening to anything else since it came out. That being said, I think it gives me a little bit of credibility when discussing how it compares to the original. I was 8 when the original Fearless came out, and I've been listening to it religiously for the past 13 years. Taylor's version includes all 20 tracks featured on the original Platinum album, as well as 6 previously unreleased songs from the vault that have never been played before. First, let's talk about the songs we're already familiar with. Starting off, one of the things that shocked me most was how identical the songs were in construction. Every note, key, vocal inflection, breath, and instrument was perfectly in line with the originals. Taylor clearly made a conscious choice to preserve the musical integrity of the original songs, which I really appreciate. Even Colby Calais, who collaborated on Breathe, made a reappearance and gave an equal performance as her last. I think the most notable difference was simply Taylor's voice maturity. There's a quality of richness and greater control that wasn't heard in her 18-year-old voice, so it's really fun to listen to and compare how much she has grown as an artist. You can hear this a little bit in songs like Hey Steven by comparing her little laugh in between the bridge and the chorus, or in White Horse and You're Not Sorry with the greater depth in her tone, or The Way I Loved You, a personal favorite of mine, with the crispness of her voice. You can also hear how her once country accent has faded over the years, although there are certain points where she makes a conscious effort to recreate it, such as in the pronunciation of Fearless. I think one of the best things about this album release, and the ones evidently coming in the future, is how it shows how much Taylor has grown not only through her voice, but also as an individual. Hearing a 31-year-old Taylor sing the songs about when she was a 15-year-old first falling in love, or telling lyrical stories from her times in high school is so special and nostalgic. And to me, it almost feels like a love story to her former self, who had no idea what was in store for her or the lessons she would learn along the way. Taylor herself has commented that re-recording the songs has been so fulfilling and a really special experience. I think there's something really satisfying about being able to sing her songs from a new mindset. When she sang them as an 18-year-old, she was so young and it only just scratched the surface of the lessons that she would come to learn. But now, after gaining years of wisdom and experience, she can sing them with the knowledge that whatever she was feeling at the time of writing them, things will ultimately get better, almost giving a sense of closure to her younger self. I think that at times we can even hear that in Taylor's version, because Taylor does such a good job conveying emotion in her voice. In revisiting that period of her life, she also allowed her fans and listeners to do the same. I think for many of us, we grew up right alongside Taylor, and Taylor's version brings us back to where we were during the original album's release, back to our childhoods and the feeling of comfort that I know I felt when I would listen to the album on its original CD format. For me and many other people my age, we also may not have been able to necessarily relate at the time Fearless first came out. So speaking for myself, I'm getting to experience a whole new level of the album now that I have some of those experiences. And I think I can connect to the album in a way that I was never truly able to before. Now, what I and many other fans became most excited about were the From the Vault songs that didn't make the cut the first time around. Taylor released both You All Over Me, featuring Maren Morris, and Mr. Perfectly Fine as singles before the album release, but these have very different sounds and vibes. What I love the most is how clearly representative they are of Taylor's Fearless era, and since Taylor frequently mixes up her sound and personal style, it's so cool and nostalgic to get to travel back in time and receive new music from so early in her career. My personal favorite is Mr. Perfectly Fine, which is about ex-boyfriend Joe Jonas, and it's been on repeat ever since its release. Fans have been particularly excited about the line Casually Cruel, which Taylor ultimately utilized in later song All Too Well, another favorite of mine. She also released We Were Happy, Don't You, Bye Bye Baby, and That's When, which features Keith Urban and draws some clear audio connections to her old country sound. So what's next for Taylor? There are many fan theories currently swirling around the internet, but one of the most popular ones is that Taylor's version of 1989 is next, and many believe it will arrive in time for the summer. Since Taylor is known for strategically placed Easter eggs, fans have based this prediction off of a carefully shown earring in a recent promotion that correlates with 1989's blank space. Posts from a Rolling Stone shoot last fall suggesting that an album release will accompany each upcoming season, with corresponding colors and captions to their associated albums, and an Instagram post taken in the same location as a detail from 1989's Out of the Woods. Additionally, it's been announced that Wildest Dreams has already been re-recorded. Taylor made an announcement for Fearless wearing an outfit seen in the Shake It Off music video. A page from 1989, Taylor's version, has been created on Genius.com, and Taylor made a direct reference in an interview with Apple Music to a tweet posted during her 1989 era. And this isn't even the full extent of the theory. It's a lot to unpack, and knowing Taylor, the clues will just keep coming. However, Taylor never fails to surprise listeners, and only time will tell what's in store for her upcoming works. And it wouldn't be the first time she'd shock her fans. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time.
Hi everyone, I'm Ana Serrano.
And I'm Jolie Francis.
And we would love to welcome you back to Gossip Guru. Hi everyone. So our first big news story for today is former Bachelor star Colton Underwood came out as gay in a Good Morning America interview with Robin Roberts.
Wow.
Yeah, it was shocking. I know, for me too. Basically, in the tell-all interview, Colton said that he knew something was different within him since he was 6 years old, and by the time he was in high school, he realized that he was gay. But he didn't feel comfortable coming out to his friends, family, or absolutely anyone because he was raised conservative and in a Catholic church.
That'll get you.
That will get you. He also raised up doing football, and he was really scared that his teammates would not react well because in the interview he mentioned that they would often use the term gay as an insult. Like if somebody did a bad play or threw the ball wrong, they'd be like, oh, that's really gay, which is horrible.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So he did not feel comfortable coming out. And while I'm really proud of him that he's able to live his truth and to be his own authentic self, it is important to remember that in 2020, he did have a restraining order put against him by his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Randolph, who was the winner of his Bachelor season. Yeah. So his season ended and happily ever after. Both of them went off to date, and they were happy for a couple of months until the summer.
A couple of months.
I know. When they broke up, and the breakup did not go well, and Colton started stalking Cassie, going to her house really late, allegedly putting a tracker on her car and sending her really threatening messages.
Colton!
I know, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
That.
Exactly. I know. So he's a polarizing figure.
I know, that's so hard because he's been through so much, and like we want to celebrate him for coming out, but also it's like, King, what are you up to?
Exactly.
Like what was all that about?
I know.
So it's hard to.
So we want to be happy for him, but we also want to respect Cassie and how she must be feeling and what she's going through right now, because allegedly she didn't even know that he was going to have this interview with Good Morning America. So all of this came to as a complete shock to her.
Oh my gosh! And now he's gonna have his own show about it.
Netflix.
He's gonna have a whole show about what? About his
about
life?
Coming out. Okay. He's gonna have like a gay guru that's gonna help him. I don't know.
Okay, maybe
stay tuned.
Maybe a therapist too.
Maybe a therapist too. Hopefully.
Maybe some anger management. I don't know. We're proud of him, but also. I don't know. We're worried for him and others.
Yeah, exactly.
What
story do you have for us today?
Well, actually, I do have a tale of happily ever after.
Yay!
Jenna Marbles, everyone's favorite YouTuber, has recently gotten engaged.
Aww.
And we're so happy for her. Julian Solomita, her now fiance, announced it on a Twitch stream on April 15th, saying something like, I proposed to her a little while ago, and she said yes. So we're engaged.
Cute.
And I was like, oh, it's so cute. So Jenna Marbles has been gone for like 10 months. She hasn't been posting on YouTube. She hasn't been posting on any sort of social media platform. So she was not there for the proposal announcement, which was kind of sad. But we all really miss her, and we're excited to hear that she's doing well. And that she's really happy, I assume, now that she's engaged. So we're happy to hear that. And they've been dating for 8 years. So we've just been waiting for Julian to pop the question. And he finally did.
So happy for him. I know, I saw the ring. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. His was cute too.
I know, he got a ring too. I'm happy for them.
I'm so happy for them. They just adopted their 4th dog a year ago. And they just moved into a new house together like 3 years ago. So it was inevitable.
Exactly.
And so we're so happy. And hopefully Jenna comes back.
To YouTube eventually. We'll see.
Hopefully. Or just to say like, hey y'all.
Yeah.
Life update. Because we miss her and we do want to hear from her. But it was very exciting news. We're very happy for them, for the lovely couple. So I think that's it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning into Gossip Guru today. Now to the musical interview with Alexi. So bye.
Hello, it's Alexi Mortoft again, and for this week's musical guest interview, I am interviewing Luis Navarro, a part of Twin Tribes. How are you doing, Luis?
Hi, good. Thank you for having us.
What would you describe your guys' type of music or theme when you're creating?
I think just to name a couple of genres that we've been associated with, dark wave or post-punk, or cold wave are some of the, I guess, genres that you know, I guess we can consider ourselves, or we've been compared to.
I noticed in a lot of your lyrics you like talking about the undead. Why is that? Why does that like focus with the undead?
To be honest, that was at the beginning of Twin Tribes when we were writing the album Shadows, which started off as an EP, later turned into a full LP. It's kind of a collection of stories. The inspiration behind that album is basically a collection of either the Dark Crystal films. Also, there's a little bit of occult stories and themes that brought inspiration to the lyrics of the tracks. So it's mainly the first album, Ceremony. The second album is a bit more personal and talks about love, loss, and life and death, as opposed to the collection of stories that was Shadows. Altars is our most recent album. It was released not so long ago, and actually it was April 9th. So we've been releasing the remixes as singles over the past couple of months, but the full album dropped April 9th, and it's a remix album. A lot of different artists participated in this album. Just to name a few, She Passed Away. There's also Skeleton Hands, and there's Dave Parlay, Ash Code. There's a lot of very, very popular bands amongst the scene that we were lucky enough to get some remixes, and that's kind of like how Altars was born.
What was it like working with these different musicians and getting their take?
It was a really cool experience. To be honest, we didn't have in mind to release a remix album at all. We kind of got the idea probably when quarantine started. We were reached out by Skeleton Hands if they could remix one of our tracks, and then Night, another band from Texas, came along and did the same thing. We and then Matt Black from California, and we started just analyzing the songs. We listened to them, and then we thought about the idea of why don't we just do a remix album and reach out to several artists that we like, and maybe it could work out. So after we listened to those three remixes, that's when we kind of got the idea of, okay, let's go ahead and reach out to these artists. And after they agreed, they did a phenomenal job remixing the songs and basically making them their own. It's a total different vibe from the original songs, and it was something very special and very cool to have artists that basically redid songs, and they came out amazing.
What's your favorite? I mean, it's obviously hard to choose, but what's your favorite remix song on the album?
Yeah, it's really hard to choose favorites, but just to name, I'll name a couple. The first one was a remix of the song called Perdidos by the band Cult of Aaliyah. And another one that's another really good favorite would be Portal to the Void by the band She Passed Away.
Hmm.
Two really good remixes.
Is what inspired you to go down this like focus of like a cult or dark synth within your music and this like post-punk?
I don't know, I've always been a fan of just, reading about, I guess those themes about the occult and the unknown. And I guess it just went into a really good pair when we were pairing the music. And it's not something, that hasn't been done. There's also a lot of influence by this band called The Vulture from Monterrey in Mexico, which has experimented with these type of lyrics and just different styles of music. So I kind of just did an adaptation of inspiration, from here and there, and that's kind of how it started.
How has COVID affected your music creating process?
Well, it definitely affected us because it happened right after we had just released our second studio album, Ceremony. So our tour was canceled. We were unable to tour behind the album, so it was very difficult. There's some songs from that album that we still haven't played live today, so it affected us that way. The remixes, it did help. They did help, to stay active during COVID. But the writing process, like writing music in general, didn't really change. We usually just swap each other ideas back and forth through email, and that's kind of how we write music. Just trying different things, testing out different ideas, but mainly through email. So that didn't really affect us, but everything else tour wise, it was a huge blow. We have a full US tour booked with our good friends Wingtips from Chicago. They'll be supporting us throughout the entire tour, which is going to take place or kick off in Houston. For the exact date, if anybody's listening, you can always refer to our socials, either in Instagram or Facebook, and go back to our event page. It is going to be an extensive West Coast and East Coast tour, which will start September. You can find our albums basically in all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music. We're on YouTube. You can find us also on Bandcamp. Besides Bandcamp, you can find us through social media as Twin Tribes or Twin_Tribes on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's might be all.
All right. Thank you again. This has been Alexi Martov with Luis Navarro of Twin Tribes.
Hi, I'm Madison Poljan.
And I'm Ray Musica. Welcome to Release Date.
Our movie this week is In the Heights, a film adaptation of the Broadway musical. In the Heights tells the story of the Upper Manhattan neighborhood, Washington Heights, where a bodega owner, played by Anthony Ramos, inherits his late grandmother's lottery winnings and plans to shutter his store and retire to the beach in the Dominican Republic. As he goes to say goodbye to his friends in Washington Heights, however, he realizes that they are his true family, and he struggles with leaving them behind.
The excitement I feel for this movie musical is unreal. I know this is Lin-Manuel Miranda's second Broadway musical, or Broadway movie, sorry. And I know this one's gonna be vastly different because this is a movie which is also musical, and the Hamilton one was just a filmed version of the musical. But I love Lin-Manuel Miranda's lyrical flow and his storytelling ability, and I love Anthony Ramos. He was amazing in Hamilton, and his voice is absolutely beautiful. I'm looking forward to all the new Broadway talent that'll be showcased in this movie, and be made to the big stream and go mainstream. And I'm so excited just to see them in a new medium.
I am super pumped for this musical as well. It looks incredible, it sounds amazing, and I think it's the perfect time to put out a story like this. According to the slate, the unveiling of the film and cast was a, quote, emotional affair, with the largely Latinx community focusing on the importance of seeing themselves reflected on the big screen, and not in a story focused on weeping and trauma, but on a story of community and joy, end quote. I am super excited and cannot wait for this movie to come out.
In the Heights will have its world premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival on June 9th, 2021. It is scheduled for theatrical release in the United States on June 11th, 2021, and the film will also be available on HBO Max streaming service on the same day. Our video game this week is Resident Evil Village. This is a single-player survival horror game. It follows the protagonist of the last Resident Evil game, Ethan Winters, and his wife, Mia. It's set a few years after the last game, and they're living in a new place to escape the events of what happened in the last game. And things start to go wrong when an agent comes to their house and Ethan has to go rescue their daughter.
So, not gonna lie, I'm not really a fan of horror games, but what really draws me to this is the graphics. They look so cool and so real and so scary. Oh my gosh. I think the world is fascinating too. I'm really intrigued to learn more about it, but I'm not sure if I'll be subjecting myself to the horror parts of this game to do so.
So I played the last Resident Evil game, and it was really good. The graphics in that one weren't as good as this one. They were more unsettling and put you on edge and looked slightly unrealistic, but this one seems to be very, very realistic. It'll make everything more surreal to draw you in further. In the last game, in this game, I don't really like how time-based the events are. It makes it more difficult, in just time-based events are just very problematic in general. But I do like the access to the shop in this game, which we didn't have last time. You had to collect coins, but this time you collect more coins and you can buy things between each level, which is very nice. It gives you new ways to solve problems. But I saw people play the demo, and it wasn't exactly my cup of tea, but I will probably buy and play the game anyway and scare myself.
Resident Evil Village comes out on May 7th on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Steam. That's all for now. I'm Madison Poljan.
I'm Ray Musica. Thank you for tuning in to Release Date.